Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, today we begin two new chapters, chapters 17 and 18 of the book of Revelation. Very interesting chapters. In these chapters, we see the judgment of God upon Babylon. And actually, there's two Babylons. Chapter 17 is Babylon that is a religious Babylon, and then chapter 18 is an economic, commercial, maybe even political Babylon. And so we see the judgment on these two Babylons. So let's begin reading in chapter 17, beginning in verse 1. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and talked with me, saying, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication. And the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Now, as you go through this chapter, over and over and again, you're going to read about the harlot and the woman. Verse 8, I saw the woman. In verse 7, the woman and the beast that carried her. And then verse 9, here's the mind of wisdom. 7 heads are the mountains on which the woman sat. And then down in verse 15, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. 16, these will hate the harlot and make her desolate. And then in verse 18, and the woman, and here John tells us who the woman is, and the woman which you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. And so chapter 17 introduces us to the woman, the harlot, which actually is a city, but it's the seat of the religious, ecumenical system that has taken place in the first years of the tribulation. So what happens? The church is raptured, we believe, before the tribulation begins. And when the church is raptured, that's the true church. That's the bride, the pure, spotless, stainless bride of Jesus Christ gets raptured. Now, already at work on earth is the ecclesiastical, ecumenical, and I can't even say that word hardly, ecumenical church, which one day will become the one world church. It's the apostate church, you might call it, the falling away, the church that has fallen away from the truth, the church that has now kind of become a combination. It accommodates anyone that wants to come and be a part of it. It brings together all the religions. Years ago, the Catholic Church, for instance, would call the Protestants the heretics. But now today they're called the departed brethren. And there is a movement to bring them back together and to worship together and to work together. Well, what happens in the first part of the tribulation when the true church, the pure church, the bride of Christ is taken up and gone? The apostate church comes together. And the Antichrist, remember, he gets revealed at the beginning, and he is the one who helps bring it together, and he's going to use this church to bring together the ecclesiastical one world church. But then at the middle of the tribulation, when the false prophet shows up, then he is going to destroy that church that many people believe is the city of Rome, and that's where the seat of that city is. So very interesting chapter. We're going to go into a little bit more detail as we look at it over the next few days, chapter 17 and 18. and we trust the Lord will use it to help us understand we need to keep pure, we need to keep our hearts clean, and really believe that Jesus Christ is going to rapture His pure church before all this takes place. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.